if you look at the fundamentals of what Metaverse has done, there are billions of consumers who are already in the Metaverse. That's the first sign that there is a market out there which is building itself. Second, those consumers or customers are actually spending a lot of time.
One's digital experience is expected to show an acute increase with the foreseen introduction of the metaverse. This will bring virtual reality closer to one's life, changing the whole ecosystem of marketing. How do you see fast evolving virtual world impacting one's brand experience? And what impact would this have on the business ecosystem as a whole?
Yeah, a question that I think one can't avoid in the current times. I think where the trend has clearly been established that metaverse is here. So I think when you follow it quite closely, I think what's really happening, I think, is there are large brands which have already entered the metaverse. And fundamentally, if you look at the fundamentals of what metaverse has done, there are billions of consumers who are already in the metaverse. That's the first sign that there is a market out there which is building itself. Second, those consumers or customers are actually spending a lot of time. Now, quite naturally, it's a very fertile ground for marketers to consider it as a channel worth exploring. Now, obviously, given that some of the fundamentals are still coming into place, it's difficult for marketers to go ahead and stick your neck out and build a great ROI, which you can prove to your management. But what one could do definitely is start with understanding the metaverse. How are people engaging in this new world or the new virtual places or workplaces, as we call it, and see how you want to kind of put your brand across. So beyond the obvious, what I mean by obvious, I think, is the gaming is the obvious part of the metaverse. I think a lot of brands you've seen, which are today in physical in nature, entering the metaverse, quite smartly integrated the brand experiences into those gaming worlds. But I'm here to share something which is beyond the obvious. So for example, one of the things that metaverse clearly opens up is when we are getting back to the normal, and we all pretty much have understood that it's going to be a hybrid working world. So imagine a world where I think the virtual workplaces of the future, you're able to create as I call it, the digital twin of your office in the metaverse. And colleagues like you and me are actually entering that as a workplace and collaborating and engaging, conducting our meetings. Second aspect where you can imagine really the marketers actually kind of taking a leap forward is when you are building your customer experiences. For example, I think today most of the engagements were physical. We are trying to move to virtual, but probably it has not given you the best of the high touch experiences that you always wanted with your customers. A good example being, we have customer experience centers where we used to take the customers to physically and take them through a tour. Now, you could do a part of it in the virtual current world, but in the meta world, I definitely think the experiences are more immersive. And that's the beauty of that, the promise that metaverse is giving us. And many other use cases like education, retail, 24/7 shopping experiences, and a different immersive way of imparting education to the children. Now, for marketers, I think some rules of the engagement would definitely change. As marketers, I think while we take some cautious steps and surely some exciting experiments into this new world, I think it opens up a new cohort maybe. There are people who are in metaverse and there are people who are not yet in the metaverse. That's the first cohort for you. Second, the way your brand is integrated, because it's an immersive world and you do not have a separate space to kind of create a brand zone, but you've got to immerse the brand into the meta experiences. How do you do that? Because most of the marketing assets today you have are pretty much used to a slightly different world. You got to kind of carry the brand into that world and design new creatives into that. And third, I think, is the way and the time at which you engage. I think you're going to rewrite some of the rules of privacy and engagement there so that you're protecting the brand identity and being safe about how the brand is being put across into that meta world. In summary, Simran, I think definitive trend, great exciting stuff to see large brands entering the foray, but to all other marketers, I think is worth kind of starting the experiments and building a roadmap into the new world of metaverse.